Hi, and thank you for choosing to listen as we reveal some of what we think and share how we feel about mental health. Someone once said that the youth are our future, so here's your chance to see what the future has in store. So buckle down and let's listen.
Hi folks, welcome back to Let's Listen. Today we're going to be having a conversation on conversations. My name is Diana Cecile Margaret and I'll be your host today. Someone once said that the youth are our future, so let's hear what the future has in store.
Whoa.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'll see if I can follow up that introduction.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Jinx Jarvis. So I don't know. I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I am a part-time music producer, and I help with this podcast in the writing process and coming up with ideas, as well as the music production of the side. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Incredible. So we were talking a little bit just before we started recording here, just about kind of like what it's like to have conversations with people, what it's like to have conversations with ourselves.
Yeah, and the difference between the two.
So when we're kind of looking at having conversations with ourselves, what does that look like to you?
Well, to me, it is, how do I explain? I don't know, much of a spiral, I guess. Because being an overthinker, I think that kind of maybe adds to it. And just having a conversation about a topic, but also thinking about the various likely and unlikely outcomes and possibilities that come with that. Like, oh, yeah, I can see this happening, but then what if this happens and then this happens, even though it's not plausible? Yeah. And then having that much, like, battle in your mind, and then compared to, like, when you're actually doing the thing in the moment, you're just like, okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of like catastrophizing kind of everything that's going on in your life.
Yeah.
What are ways that you kind of like combat that? Like what are ways that maybe you change your mind about something that you feel is going wrong? And how do you kind of like bring yourself back down to earth?
Well, I guess an example would be, take this show, for instance, and some of the topics that we talk about, and preparing for those topics and thinking about the various questions and stuff, trying to think about the right way to say them. Yeah, that helps a lot, and you're prepared to do it, but there's a lot of, like, again, spiral that comes with that. And the thing I just kind of do is really not think about it and just go with the flow. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's easier. I might not be as, like that, I don't know, stuck up, or, I don't have professionalism in talking with big words like some of these people do. But
Right,
yeah.
right. And so, like, do you feel that you say what you mean when, you're kind of like talking to yourself, or you're like going through your thought process around a situation? Like, do you feel like what it is you tell yourself aligns with what you really think?
Yeah, I would think so. Compared to like my past and stuff, because I used to lie a lot, which, and doing so, listen up, people, that doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't really solve any problems. It just creates more, and eventually you're stuck in a corner. Because I know if you lie a lot, you have to remember those lies and keep up with them.
Right.
And that's hard to do. Well, maybe for others, but yeah. Compared to having conversations with myself now, I just think about the main aspects and just embrace being myself as a whole and in general.
Yeah.
And then when the moment's actually happening, I say what I mean. As saying what you mean in general, there may be some slight alterations in communication, and some of those people may not agree with what you say, but that's the whole point in communication, is talking about that. And if there is a disagreement, you build on that and then talk about that. because that
Yeah.
gets you to know the others well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
How about you?
Oh my gosh, how about me? Oh my gosh. I feel like when I was a lot younger, I would just absolutely shit talk myself. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that I was just the worst person on the planet, and I really convinced myself of that. And I think just it was hand in hand with my mental health, right? Like, because I was struggling with my mental health, I really isolated myself. And because I isolated myself, I had nothing else to kind of base what it was that I was thinking about myself on, because there was no proof of anything. There was no proof that I was, good or bad or any sort of way. Like, I couldn't tell. And so I feel like it took me getting older and experiencing like different kinds of relationships, friendships, or, the relationship that I have with my parents, or just kind of like the people that were around me. I feel like that really changed the way that I saw myself and the way that I talk to myself. I'm a really big self-soother when it comes to how I talk to myself, because I do catastrophize everything. Everything is the end of the world to me. So I feel like a lot of the times I am just talking to myself in ways that are comforting to my nerves. And so I feel like that's kind of my experience of how I talk to myself. And the way that I talk to myself, I would never, ever in a million years talk to another person that way. It's borderline disrespectful sometimes. So, like, even I have to remind myself, like, hey, like, you wouldn't even treat another person that way. Like, there's no reason for you to kind of live in that.
Follow in someone else's shadow.
Yeah. And the someone else being myself, just like an evil version of me. You know what I mean? So I feel like that was kind of my experience with self-talk. But I feel like that also came from my mom a lot. I know we mentioned kind of like the way we were raised to talk.
Yeah.
I was not raised to shit talk myself. I was raised to, be gentle and to, my mom used to always tell me, like, Diana, don't put your head in the sand or whatever, and just kind of like don't shut down and, don't talk to yourself like that. But I also feel like I was never really taught skills on how to speak well of myself. So I feel like that's just a whole other aspect to it as well, is that, I just never learned how. And I know that you mentioned kind of like maybe like lying or, your experiences in your own self-talk. How do you think that the way that you were kind of raised
influence that?
Yeah.
Well, how I was raised, I wasn't really given a female perspective on things and what to expect from that, because I know, obviously, everyone should know this. Men and women are different, and even when we say we are equal in some parts, no, there's a lot of gray area when it comes to that, and miscommunication as well. So I got raised solely by my father, single at the time because my mother left. But in doing that, what he basically taught me, or what I was being taught just from seeing, is yes, people are very different, but it was very much him not getting over the fact that, the breakup was, it's hard, obviously. And what he would do is, he's fuck around with the girls and stuff. And he would just belittle the relationship that him and my mom had a bit, and the others, and that's saying like, I don't know, they don't understand, like men have feelings too. But I think the thing with that is seeing that I think men are taught to be more quote unquote manly. So showing emotion is a sign of weakness, and we're kind of told that women don't like that. And because it's very much sticking to the gender norm of things, a stereotypical aspect.
Right.
Oh, women are supposed to be sensitive. You know, we're supposed to be there for them. Treat them like princesses. And we're supposed to be the knight in shining armor and show the emotions only they want. And any sign of vulnerability is an actual weakness, and they're turned off by that and stuff like that. Yeah. But just growing up and learning about the world in general, and like, oh my God, there's actually people out there that understand what I'm going through. It's just the fact of exploring things on yourself, finding yourself in others, and just, your own individuality where you fit.
Right.
Because I know a little, I guess, dilemma or something like that. One of the things that we have trouble with is when we first start school. And from kindergarten or whatever the earliest grade is, I don't know, nursery, all the way up to high school, during that time, we're only taught the basics and the things that prepare us for life outside of school, just getting a job.
Yeah.
But we're not taught about, I guess, some of the advanced stuff, and I guess more so connecting with the human emotion and their mentality.
Yeah.
Like, I guess an example would be, because in English class, you know, you do all these certain tests that have certain words, and we focus on the past of things. Oh, when was George Washington born? What was he known for? Oh my God, Hitler. But the fact that we focused on that past and we're not really incorporating new stuff to build onwards to the future, I think is a bit of a dilemma, just because if we're taught in the past and know about the past, we can't really expect to move on to the future with past things. Some of your past can be helpful, but you got to incorporate it into your present.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's kind of like that reflection of kind of what has happened, that reflects onto what's kind of like happening now. I feel like that is a huge part in, you know, the mind that maybe does catastrophize everything, or, you know, everything is the end of the world, or, you know, your brain is just totally fried from, you know, whatever anxieties or, you know, whatever thoughts kind of come our way.
Yeah.
But I also think that, like, when we grow up and when we're going to school, like, we're also really taught about politeness. And,
Are we?
you know, I feel like maybe that's my experience, is that, you know, we're kind of taught to have these very surface level conversations with people when, you know, we're greeting them. It's you know, just muscle memory, basically, to be like, hi, how are you? Oh, you're good. That's great. No, I'm okay. You know, and, like, we don't necessarily mean those things. I feel like that is such, you know, a big part of kind of the experiences that a lot of people may have. I don't know. Maybe you didn't learn about politeness. I learned about politeness.
Well, I learned about politeness from a bit of everything, both from my parents and school and just my general surroundings.
Yeah.
And I guess a main difference would be when you're starting off at the youngest grade to like grade 6, your elementary year, your parents are there with you to help guide you. But when you basically get to middle school, high school, you're kind of on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then once you get there, you learn about all this stuff by yourself. And since your parents aren't there, you know, you're not being guided or judged and stuff. And all these people just kind of, they have teachers to teach them, but we basically are just kind of on our own, find ourselves in our own friend groups and what we think, and a lot of the times, probably a common thing is that's where we learn to, swear.
Yeah.
So we don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
In basic terms, people, that's where we learn to, I don't know, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, what has your, like, I know that you just mentioned like friendships, and that's a huge part of growing up, and kind of like how we learn to talk to people. What was your experience like having friendships and like growing into friendships, or how do you talk to your friends?
Well, going back to what I mentioned, being raised by a single father, not having that motherly wisdom and stuff, or just a present mother, I've noticed growing up, even just now thinking about it, I'm like, oh my God, really? Wow, I can't believe it. I went down the path of exploring the female mind and just knowing how they are and act, and the different setbacks and things that come with that.
Sure. Yeah.
Which led me to having more female friends.
Okay.
Yeah. Which
Right.
having female friends as a man, I'll say, it's very interesting because you learn a lot. Because when you're a man, you kind of just, I don't know, maybe talk about the quote unquote basic man things. Oh, video games, pizza, and blah, blah, blah. But when you're being taught and learning all these like female aspects, like how they're raised, like how they're expected to be in the female eye.
Right.
Because even today, like a lot of questions I still think about, like, oh, like when are you taught to use makeup? Or some women, how they kind of self-sabotage relationships and friendships. Like, when did that come along? Are you just like, that just came to you one day? Or is that something that you saw from your parents? Or like,
Right.
it fascinates me.
Yeah.
And it's both a struggle at the same time when it comes to dating, because in doing so, although I'm an overthinker, I do have a little bit of the male simple mind. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you find that your conversations usually go with, like, your relationships in that aspect?
Well, I very much be myself right now, because I know before I mentioned lying, and I did do that as a way to, I don't know, one up myself just to get into the dating game, like say things they wanted to hear, because I thought that would bring me more. But in just being yourself, yeah, there may be not a lot of options out there, and a lot of people may not be attracted to that. But once you do like find that special someone, they, you just realize that they love you for who you are. Like, they want to know more about you instead of just the person you're perceived as by other people, or what you're expected to be growing up.
Right.
And just talking to people, relationships, I'm very much in the moment. So whatever's just in that moment, I'm in the moment. I talk about, I build on. And it's only after the fact that I'm like, oh, I could have done this differently, though.
Right.
And all of these different outcomes, like possibilities of what could have happened during that conversation. And yeah, there is some regret that comes along, because I may, you may say something like, oh, is that too far? Oh, did I hurt their feelings? But yeah, I'm just in the moment.
Sure.
And a big difference is maybe in today's generation, but I would say maybe when it first got introduced, the online aspect, a lot of people talk and communicate differently when it comes to texting versus an in person. Because in texting, you're I don't know, you're in a wall basically. So you're kind of free to just talk about whatever and build upon that, because of the use of technology and the helpful resources it gives you in, like, I don't know, using big informal words and to help you perceive yourself in a higher light, versus in person, you just talk simple and a bit closed off.
Absolutely. And so, like, Yeah. What do you tell yourself when you're trying to like be in the moment with conversations?
I'm telling myself not really much actually, because
Okay.
when I'm in the moment, I'm just in the moment.
Right.
I don't think about like, oh, I could do this. Sometimes I do, like, oh, I could word it like this and stuff. But I'm the type who both text and in-person conversations, I like to watch and observe.
Okay.
I like to listen because it gets me closer to them, connects me more with them, and then I build on that
Right.
instead of just, putting that aside and then talking about myself. Because while you can do that, I personally feel like just putting their stuff aside and then talking about myself, it does get them the chance to know me better, but it puts me in a spotlight where it's more, I find, egotistical in a way. And I'm not really sharing it with others because I like to get to know people.
Right. And so what do you think are like the key differences being in the moment in a conversation, like face to face, versus like talking to somebody over social media or talking to somebody like over text or over call?
Well, this can be a little bit of a debate for the people out there, but I find that when you're texting, not me personally, but what I see is that when you're texting, it's more easy to lie. And when it comes with that, because they don't, you can group group call, and they can see your face to see if you're actually lying. But just texting, you don't know what they're thinking at all. You just kind of be in the moment. Right. And for others, I feel like that's where they struggle compared to in-person stuff. Because while you can lie in person, it's easier to do it through text because I feel like it's easy to tell when someone's lying in person just based on their body actions and facial expressions.
Yeah.
Like, the eye dotting from side to side, or you just looking down, being shy, closing your fists together, being balled up, or if you're wearing a hoodie, you just wear that to hide.
Absolutely. I feel like body language is such a huge part of how we communicate, just in everything, like in all of our emotions and in a lot of our connection. It's, I don't know, it feels better to be talking in person because, it's one of those things where it's like you're not questioning what the body language is when you're like texting them or when you're on a call with them. Sure, you can hear like, the different maybe tones in voice, but
the inflections.
But it's not the same as sitting with somebody and like sharing space and seeing the look on their face kind of thing. Like, oh, did that like genuinely make you laugh? Or are you just kind of like,
okay.
Is it like a funny thing or is it like a you're weird thing? You know what I mean? It's, So I don't know. What are your thoughts on, I guess, body language in the way that you communicate with people? Like, do you find that you're maybe more closed off in conversation, or do you try to do you consciously think about keeping your body language open in conversation?
I do a blend of both. Because when it comes to meeting new people, I am the type where I'm a bit closed off and shy just because, they're new. I haven't met them before.
Right.
But I still want to be personable enough to get them like a general idea of me. So while I may not talk a lot and my voice may be like a bit more quieter or something like that, but they can still see that I'm like trying to keep a conversation going and not to be so closed off.
Right.
And when a certain topic of conversation comes up, then I'm like, ooh, hell yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
And I might be a bit different because I know all people are different, and I know we are all raised and taught different things, both, from the male aspect and the female aspect. Because I know even with all of the present things nowadays and the things that's been introduced over the years, it basically kind of all comes down to we all have our own opinions, and we all have a different mentality than what the other things. We may have similarities, but we're not all the same.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, that's so true.
What about on your end? How do you conversate with someone versus in person and in text? Are you more of yourself, or is it more of a sense where you're putting on a mask of some sorts to make them believe that you are a certain type of person just to get a closer, bigger connection with them?
I feel like that depends. I feel like it depends on the person. And it also depends on the situation in which we're talking. If it's like a, hey, what do you want for dinner from like a partner? It's like, okay, quick reply, I don't have to think about it. Like I find that a lot of my texts with my family and friends recently have been just very mindless. It's like we have our set plans for, whatever day, and that's usually set when we see each other in person. So I find that I'm not really a texter. I'm a little bit like unreachable. But when I was a teenager, like I had friends all over Canada and like in different parts of the world. So I was like sending whole novels to just like my friends, trying to catch up, trying to like, maintain whatever connection we could.
And that there is in general.
Yeah, because there was such a large like physical distance between us. I still like deeply cared about them, and I wanted to know about them, and I wanted them to know about me. But, that just, I don't know, it's not the same as like, seeing somebody on the street and, kind of like reaching out for connections that way.
Just striking up a conversation in general. Yeah,
absolutely. So it's, I don't know, I feel like when it comes to the in-person versus kind of like the more technology side of communicating, one is just like super like mindless.
Like, not to mention the introduction of AI now, where people may be too shy or just in a way are like they can't really communicate in general, so they just type it into like a program that helps them communicate better.
Absolutely. Not only like helps them communicate better, but also the use of like memes and stuff. Just like with my friends, like not even sending the whole like photo or, reference or video or anything like that, but just spelling out the words and sending that and knowing exactly what that other person
You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah. And so it's like that's another aspect of kind of like the mindless part of technological communication, is that a lot of the times it genuinely is just mindless.
It's what is it? Brain rot now, as they say.
Yeah. And so like having conversations with somebody in person, like there's more aspects to that conversation and ways of, connecting and conversing with another individual.
You very much come out of your shell, I guess.
Absolutely. So that's kind of my piece on conversations. Any last words for you on conversations during this conversation?
Maybe as one of the ending notes is that I've talked about the male and female stereotypes, and I know that nowadays, as an example, there may be like lots of boys out there with a female personality and vice versa with the type, like, the tomboy for girls and stuff like that, where you're very much a girl, but you're very much like chilled and laid back like a guy would be. And as a boy who's very much flamboyant, you're free to express yourself, do some fucking hey girl or some shit, you know. But I see that in that a lot of people just struggle with both male and female. They struggle with that aspect of just simply overcomplicating things. And that's where miscommunication comes in, both text and in person. Because if you're texting, you can miscommunicate it in a way because there's no emotion in that text, unless you use like emojis. But even then, like you perceive it in another way, just simply based how you were raised, what you were taught, what you engaged in, are attracted to, and then basing that text solely around that, when in actuality the other person meant it a completely different way. And when in person, it kind of comes across that where, let's say, a little standard basic thing, a relationship, where do you want to eat? You can very much overcomplicate that. And I've noticed it more with the female side in the sense where they can't decide what they want, and they just say, well, just pick something. I'm go with the flow. I'm fine with whatever you want. And it's more the sense in doing that where you just want to please them instead of just pleasing yourself, or both parties in general. Like a lot of people just are afraid to communicate in general just because of how others will perceive them and take them and judge them.
Yeah, that's true. I think people should just say what they mean. Talk to themselves nicely, and have just like a lot of conversations. The only way to learn about the ways that, we communicate with others and the ways that we have conversations with others is to continue having those conversations. So talk to everyone.
Yeah.
Camera, talk to everyone.
Yeah, camera right there. And like, we're not saying at the end of this, grow the fuck up and, stuff like that. We're simply just saying it's okay to be yourself and embrace being yourself.
Absolutely.
And doing so can open up many opportunities for you in the world.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a job, okay, be yourself.
Yeah.
I get that, they want certain standards and stuff, and you may have to put on a little professionalism. As you clearly see, I'm clearly fit from this job if you know my qualifications, blah, blah, blah. But they simply they may not say it, but just being yourself in a workplace or in an environment is just good as long as yourself, because people attach to that. And if you're just living up to expectations and, again, putting on a hypothetical mask just to fit in with others, it may work, but only for a little while. It doesn't work forever. And even so, communicating as yourself, just being yourself in general, may not work forever, but it lasts longer. And if something does come up, you communicate about that. And then you build on that, see where it leads to. And along that, there may be loss, but we can't hold on to that forever. We gotta process that and think about that. We may be sad for a while, but we can't let that change our lives forever in a negative way. Absolutely. We need to adapt from that, learn from it, process it, and then move on from it. And maybe incorporate some of those things that we did learn from, let's say, a previous job, past relationship or friendship, the things we liked, the things we were taught new. We just incorporate that into our future, and it just leads to bigger opportunities. And the world itself is big. It's not small. And some say life is short or it's too long. It's kind of both, because you never know what can happen. I could die right now. That's why you just gotta. Please don't.
Please don't do that. not here. Yeah. And not for a very long time.
Yeah, but
you have so many conversations to have in life.
You just gotta embrace every second of each day and just live it. Absolutely. It may not be like, a lot or the most productive thing. Like, just say an average day for you is just waking up, having breakfast, going to work, and then coming home after playing games, go to sleep, do the same thing. Yeah, it may not be a lot but you just got to live through it. And there may be certain things throughout each of those days that may come up, and then there's something new.
Absolutely.
Everything new. A new opportunity is always on the horizon.
Absolutely. Go talk about it.
Yeah.
Go talk about it with all your people. Okay, I think that's all the time that we have for today, but thanks so much for having a conversation with me.
Mm-hmm. It was an informative conversation, I will say. So, yeah, close off.
Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next episode of Let's Listen.